Today on our 2015 Ram 3500, we're going to take a look at and show you how to install the TorkLift SuperHitch Original. This is a custom fit Class 5 trailer hitch receiver offering the 2-inch by 2-inch receiver tube opening. Its part number is TLD1108. Now here's what our super hitch is going to look like installed. As you can see, this is going to give us that dual receiver opening that we need for that SuperTruss system. Now not only is it a great looking hitch, it has a really nice finish on it. It also has a really good capacity. The tongue weight rating, or the maximum downward force we can put here at the receiver tube opening, is 1,700 pounds, and it gives us a gross trailer weight rating of 17,000. It's going to be the total weight of your trailer and anything you're going to load up. It is also rated for use with weight distribution. When we switch to weight distribution, it goes up to 2,000 for tongue weight and 20,000 for gross trailer weight. All in all, the construction is really nice on it. You've got your safety chain connection points right down here. It's going to make it great for connecting anything you want to haul. That's the benefit of the SuperTruss system. With this in-bed camper, we're able to mount our SuperTruss here. This is going to extend out so that we can actually have a ball mount far enough back to connect to. You can see the in-bed camper situation. In this case, you're not hauling a trailer, you're not hauling a boat, but with that SuperTruss, we can get it right out here. We really don't minimize the capacity that much, especially not compared to other hitch extenders. Now the installation process is pretty straightforward. There's no drilling or real modifications of your truck that you're going to have to do. We trimmed the heat shield just a little bit on it, but outside of that, it all went together really well. Another thing I really like about the Super Hitch is that we're able to now connect our camper hold downs directly to the hitch bolts. So no longer, or at least after the hitch is installed, we don't have to worry about coming up here on the frame, potentially drilling holes or using a lot more attachment points. Bolts directly in here, got our tie down there, ready for use. Now we'll give you a couple measurements to help you determine exactly where that Super Hitch is going to fit once you get it installed. From the inside top edge of the receiver tube opening down to the ground, it's 16¼ inches, and your hitch pin hole is going to be in line with your factory hitch pin hole. Now to begin our installation, we need to loosen up the 6 bolts that are holding our receiver in place, our original receiver hitch. You want to just follow the round tube up and over to the frame. There you're going to see these 3 bolts. They're sticking through into these weld nuts. On the back side of that is the head. Let's get those loosened up. To do that, we're going to use a 21mm socket. Not removing them completely, just getting them loose. Now we'll head over to the driver's side and repeat that same process. Now as you can see, we've already removed the spare tire, but we're also going to take down this heat shield. We've got 3 10mm bolts that are holding it in place. We've got one here, and there's one that goes in this way from the back side here, and there's also a nut right here we'll have to remove from a stud. Now we're going to hang on to this, of course. We'll be replacing it once we have our hitch up. Now we're going to work on getting some hardware in place. We've got one of our 1/2 inch, 2-inch long bolts. So we've got one of the star washers on and one of the larger spacer blocks. It's got the round hole in it. We're going to thread that onto our bolt fisher here, just like that. We can separate it. We're going to place our bolt and star washer in, place our spacer block in, and we want to pull those together just like that. We want our spacer plate and everything to be inside, threads outside. Let that sit for a minute. Then we'll take one of our side straps here. I'm going to feed that up and on. Bring our bolt through. And we need to hang on to our bolt. Take our pull wire off. Then we're going to add on a flat washer, lock washer, and a hex nut. Now we'll take our bolt leader. We need to put it in the elongated hole. It's kind of just forward of the hole we were just dealing with. Move that towards the rear of the frame. You can see it's going to come out this hole. This would be number 2, number 3 here. And once that's in place, we're going to take the same bolt and star washer that we were just dealing with, 2-inch bolt, star washer. This time we're going to use one of our smaller spacer blocks. Thread that on. Let's feed that up into our frame. And we'll bring it down out of there. We can take our pull wire off. Now we've got our 2-inch by 2-inch by 5/16 spacer. That's going to go in hole number 4. That's pretty much right underneath the receiver tube of your hitch, or not the receiver tube, but the cross tube right here. Now we need to put something in here, so we're going to use a screwdriver kind of angled forward slightly. We're going to feed this spacer block into the opening in the end of the frame. There's a little tube there that we have to go over, so it's kind of going to go up, over, and we'll see it right here. We're just kind of going to bring that forward. We'll align that hole kind of with the middle of hole number 4 there. Now we're going to use our fisher again. That's going to go through the spacer plate we just put in. We're going to put that right up through that spacer plate. And you can see your hitch cross tube is right here. There's a hole in the bottom of that we need to bring it out, or through rather. Then we'll bring it out the end of the hitch and a thread on. Same style bolt we've been using, 2-inch, and we just need a star washer on it. Now we're going to feed that in, bring it down through the hole. We can remove that pull wire. Now we'll grab our side plate. We want to make sure that these tabs are bent outward towards the outside of the vehicle. And of course the large square hole, we'll want that towards the rear of the vehicle. Then we need to get it aligned with the bolts we just installed. Slide it up and in position. Just be careful not to push them back and up in the frame. Now on each one we're going to install 2 1/2-inch flat washers, lock washer, and one of our nuts. Alright, loosely installed would be fine for now. Now here through the elongated hole, this is hole number 4, so just underneath that, another 2-inch bolt. This time we've got 2 flat washers on it. That's going to go through our SuperHitch side plate and also through the side plate of our factory hitch. We're then going to place on one of the smaller spacer blocks, lock washer, and one of our nuts. We'll just leave it loosely installed. Now if we'll look at the front of our side plate here, we've got this forward hole. That's also going to get a 2-inch bolt with 2 flat washers through it. Then we've got one of our large square hole spacers to go through. And then we want that bolt to come through the bottom side of that bracket. And we'll throw on our 1/2-inch flat washer, lock washer, and get our nuts started there. Now we're just going to come over to the driver's side here. We're going to go through that exact same process again, using the exact same hole locations with the exact same hardware. Now we need to get our spacer installed on our cross section, so I'm going to use some rubbing alcohol. We want to clean this area off really well. Give that a second to evaporate. We'll peel that backing off. We want to get it, you see where that weld is? We're going to put it just behind that weld. Just like that. And we want to press down firmly. Make sure that sticks well. Now with that spacer in place, we want to insert one side of that cross tube into the side plate and place our bolt through. And we need to place a lock washer and a nut on the other side. That's going to hold that side in place for us. We'll repeat that for our other side. Once we have one installed on each side, we're going to get the rest of our bolts installed and just repeat that same process with a lock washer and a nut on each one. Now we're going to take the 1 1/4 bolts. We've got 2 of those, one of the large thick fender washers, and you can see right above that thin fender washer we've got 2 of our 1/2-inch flat washers. What we want to do is bring that 1 1/4 bolt down through those 2 flat washers and that fender washer. We're going to put a flange nut on the bottom. We need to do that on both sides. Then we're going to tighten these down. Not fully tighten them, but we want to squeeze our two receiver tube openings together, kind of like that. When we do, we want to make sure we've got both of our pinholes in line. And those 1/2-inch washers, you can see those act as spacers. So those are going to go up and inside the old safety chain connection points. Now for these bolts, you're going to be able, and really for all the bolts on the hitch, we're going to use either a 19mm or a 3/4 inch. Now we want to go through our torquing sequence. We're going to start with the 8 bolts that connect our side plates to our cross tube. I'm going to snug them up first, and then we'll torque them down to the specifications listed in our instructions. Now we're going to move on to the bolts we put in number 4 here. Snug and torque those. I will do the same thing for the frontmost bolts that connect the side plate to the frame. Next on the list is going to be the bolt that goes from our side plate to our front strap. Then we move to the upper bolt here on our front strap. Now we'll move on to the connection here, our 2 hitches. Now we'll get these snug down that go from our hitch side plate to the side plate on our new hitch. Now to finish up our installation, we just need to tighten down and torque our factory hitch bolts. Now to get our heat shield back in place, these are the 2 holes that mount into our frame. We need to relief this to allow our hardware room to fit in there. That should give us the room we need. If not, we can always take out a little more. Get it put back in position, reinstall our hardware. All right, now once that heat shield's back in place, we'll want to get our spare tire put back up into position, and our hitch is going to be ready for use. That's going to complete our installation of the TorkLift SuperHitch Original Class 5 Trailer Hitch Receiver, part number TLD1108, on our 2015 Ram 3500.